Hey, welcome to the Backwoods Gourmet Adventures. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about our garden that we got going on here at the home base, and what we're planting and how we're doing some of the techniques that we use to grow a lot of the great fresh produce that we cook over on the Backwoods Gourmet channel. Now, if you found this channel and you don't know about the Backwoods Gourmet channel, I'm going to leave you a link right down in the description box below. So if you go over there, check it out. We got about 340 some videos on outdoor cooking over there, and we use a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you here today. So I've just filled these 3 containers here, and I got a few more plants. I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. You see this one's kind of long and spindly. I'm going to plant them deep. Alright, I'm going to plant them deep. Just open up this media there. I'm going to kind of try to straighten them out a little bit. And I want his first leaves to be kind of at the soil level. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And if you hear barking in the background, that's my little dog Makita. She has been rat hunting around here. We got a rat that's kind of moved into the backyard. And she smells them in the shed over there, so she's hunting for them. So these are Georgia collards. And like I said, I like to put them in there pretty deep, especially when they're long and spindly like this. So we'll go ahead and finish this row, and then we'll plant our Chinese cabbage. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in these Chinese cabbage. These are some of my favorite fall veggies around here. Now, they are very delicate, so be careful when you're getting them out of the packages. And these are Bonnie plants. You can pretty much get these all over the country. And the first one's going to really give me a lot of trouble getting them out. The roots are not fully developed on these right now, but if you can get that whole little cube out of there, I would recommend that. These are not long and spindly, so I'm going to plant them right at the ground level. And we're going to put 2 just like we did for the collards. Because plant spacing is very critical in gardening, and I used to advise folks at our community garden I was involved with for quite a while. Haven't recently, but I see them planting stuff, you know, they got small raised beds and it's all organic, but they just plant, they're trying to make too much use of what space they have, and what ends up happening is they get even less production because they're trying to overcrowd the plants where they really don't have enough space to fully develop. So spacing is crucial, and it's going to be different depending on the plant. And you'll see that here in a minute when we show you some of the stuff we got in the ground and how we spaced that out. These Chinese cabbage, they tend to grow up in a head. They're going to bush out, but they're going to be a little tight in these boxes, but I have 6 plants and I only got 3 boxes of medium, so that's what we're going to go with. But I would say this would be about the minimum spacing. It's going to be about 14 inches for this particular plant. So it only takes a few minutes, and hey, you know, when you got these things up off the ground like this, no strain on your back. If you got mobility issues, or you're just lazy like me, this sure saves a lot of bending over. I'm using rainwater for my initial setting of the plants. Just seems to give them a little more of a boost. So I'm not on a well here, I'm on municipal water, so it's got a lot of stuff in it plants don't necessarily like as much. Chlorine, stuff like that. Obviously rainwater has none of that. We have a rain barrel. So let's go water in the collards and I'll show you some of the other stuff. This is the other thing I wanted to show you. This is our rainwater collection system. It's a 55-gallon drum. I have an overflow right here. You see me sticking my hand by it. It's an overflow, little hole there. And we have a bung that get these at Lowe's, Home Depot. I think they're about 14 bucks. Made for these barrels. Plastic barrel, I would definitely recommend. You don't have to worry about rusting it. The only thing I do want to add to it, I have a piece of screen over top, and that catches any little stuff that comes down off the roof there. A little piece of shingle from probably from back in the hurricanes. It also keeps the mosquitoes from hatching out in here for the most part. They can still get in through that little hole over there, but most part, mosquitoes stay out of this. I don't have any issues with them. I want to get a couple of Picossus fish to put inside there to keep the algae down on the sides of the barrel. They'll also add that those nutrients back to the water that we're using to water the garden. I just got a short little, I got a 12-foot gutter that I bought at Home Depot right here that's just catching that little, and that little 12-foot gutter keeps this whole 55-gallon drum here in my climate full 365 days a year. I don't think we've ever used it down below half a barrel, ever. And we use it to mix all of our liquid fertilizers. They're going to be starting up on some of these, like the cauliflower there and the broccoli you've seen earlier. We're going to start using some of the like some of your higher phosphorus based fertilizers on those to really make them produce. Okay, but we use that for all our orchids also. They're just only the rainwater, and like you seen us do earlier, we use it to water in anything new, and I do any supplemental watering also. We use the rainwater. Okay, so the other thing I mentioned earlier but forgot to show you, this is our compost barrel. This is another barrel. We got this one for free laying around somewhere. I'd see I drilled a bunch of holes in the top of it. I've drilled holes all in the sides to let air into it. And this is our compost barrel. Looks like we got a lizard running around in there right now. Cuban and Knoll. I might have to get him because I don't think they can, once they get in here, I don't think they can crawl out. And he's a fast little rascal. And I got him. Cuban and Knoll, invasive species. Okay, not from here. Alright, but that's grass clippings, stuff like that. And what I generally do is I'll just take this thing down here every once in a while. I'll lay it down, I'll roll it around, and that'll mix all that stuff up. So let me do that. I'm not going to film it, but I'll show you what it looks like after we roll it. A little winded there. We rolled it at about 10 feet and then 10 feet back. And you see how that's just mixed up everything in there? And man, a smell coming out of there. If you're a gardener, you know that's gold. So this particular batch, it should be ready. I drill all these holes on top too to let the rain, you know, this catches the rain, and that goes down and keeps it wet. And it usually takes, that's most of the stuff from summer, mostly grass clippings and the spring leaves from these big live oak trees. In Florida, our trees lose their leaves in the spring. Okay, for live oaks anyway. So it's leaves and all the grass from the summer. And of course the chicken manure helps all that process out. And that'll go back on spring guard. So some of you are probably asking about these cables up above here. Okay, we use those to attach strings to. This is an old one from last year. And you can do eggplant, tomatoes. I usually do a tomato tree. You can see the leftovers from one of those right there. Okay, we use a little tie wire to hold it to that cable. The little cherry tomatoes work really good. Keep them pruned single stem. I've done eggplants here. You can only do those larger plants with a bigger root system. You can only do one per box. Okay, But man, all your smaller rooted, especially your greens type vegetables, green onions like you see here, green onions, these have been going 2 years, almost 2 years in here. Yeah, I would say almost 2 years. Okay, so but getting time to replant another batch of those. So, and obviously all your herbs grow really good. And again, I'm only one per box with the herbs there. That's basil and sage. So we got all these guys planted. We got the collards going over there. I just turned on a drip system, and so these will be good to go. You want to pick a cool day to do this. Not so cool today. Supposed to get up to 80, but I wanted to come out here and film for you guys when it was we had some nice light. It's supposed to be a cold front pushing through. I was supposed to go fishing this morning, but having battery issues with the boat. Got it on charger. Maybe we get to go later. I don't know. We'll find out. So, all right. So that's of our raised container garden. Now, maybe at some point in time, if there's enough interest, I'll actually show you how to make this. There's a couple of these sections that are several years old. I've actually had this garden in full operation now for over 10 years. And I have rebuilt certain parts of it and added on to it. I'm thinking about adding on to it again. But this is something that I kind of came up with. I have never seen anybody else do it like this. And I can tell you, after 10 years, it's still going strong, and I'm still really happy with it. Especially the fact that you don't have to come out here and bend down to get to what you're picking. And that was basically the reason I did it. The first thing I actually grew it was green beans. And green beans work really well in it also. And so that my wife wouldn't have to bend over to pick them. So let's go around the corner here, and I'll show you the stuff we got planted in the ground. Okay, so these guys haven't been on my regular channel in a while, but these are our 2 chickens. We're gonna shake their feed down for them there. They love fall garden too, because they get to have the discarded leaves, stuff we prune back or whatever. Oh, they've been laying pretty good for 2 years now, but they kind of quit since the weather cooled off. They're a little shocked. Okay, some of you guys that have watched the Backwoods Gourmet channel, you usually can see this in the background a lot of times. And this little spot here is basically 12 by 12, 144 square feet. And I've literally grown over the years hundreds of pounds of food out of this 12 by 12 spot. Fall garden, like you see here right now, we generally like to go with growing through the black plastic. Okay, that has the drip irrigation running underneath it. This year we just had we had a bundle of shingles left over. We just used those to weight down the plastic in the middle. This prevents any of the dirt and everything when it rains kicking up all over your leaves. It keeps your greens way cleaner, way easier to wash. Plus, here in Florida, winter is our dry time of the year. So that's holding that moisture. It takes way less water to keep these plants happy through this black plastic. Now here we have this is some butter crunch lettuce. You see that's already bolting. And that's because it's just been so daggum hot. You know, it was hot up to about 2 weeks ago, finally cooled off, but I planted these about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And they're still good. We're trying to eat them up. So as soon as these guys are gone, we're going to plant another crop, because this is the shady row, and this is what I fight here in this spot. Is I got this big shed right here that blocks the southern sun. Now the winter time, that sun's way down in the toward the equator, and you can see right now this whole space is almost in the shade. But it does still gets enough sunlight as the sun moves by to produce pretty well. I did really good cauliflower here last year and broccoli. So this is what we got here is broccoli. These guys are doing great. These guys were about 4 inches long 4 weeks ago. So right here in these little short rows, I have mustard greens, and I only plant 6 plants. These things love our soil conditions. We have very, very sweet soil here, so it's more on the alkali side. And for some reason, these guys just love it, and they grow like weeds. I mean, you can see already. These are 4 weeks from transplants, and the leaves are already huge. Okay, and I would have already picked these, but Thanksgiving is coming up, so going to make a big pot of these and take them over to the family Thanksgiving. So that's why they look like they need to be picked right now, don't they? They'd be delicious too. They're going to be delicious. So this is our row of cauliflower, also growing through the black plastic. Okay, that's got the drip under it. You can see it's looking a little wilty, so we're gonna have to go out there and turn that drip on. And it is doing really, really awesome. I did till all this up. I have one of these little tiller attachments that fits on the end of your weed eater motor. I'll show you that in a second. It works great for doing small gardens like this. So I bought this several years ago now, and it has gotten a lot of use. You know, it just attaches. This one of those click-it attachments that you can put on your weed eater. I got a Toro commercial up there now. I've had several different brands of weed eaters, and that one has definitely held up better than most. But I've kept on with this click-it system. That way I could keep my attachments, and when the motor goes bad, after the ethanol fuel eats up the carburetors, you can just buy the motor in, and all your attachments are still work very well with it. And this works just perfect for doing a small backyard garden like this. Now, if you got land and, you know, like some other people, you're going to definitely need bigger equipment than that. But here, this is basically square foot gardening. And believe me, that little guy right there is going to save you a lot of backbreaking work. So, and as far as spraying goes, if you keep all those yellowed leaves trimmed back, especially on your fall garden stuff, don't have a lot of trouble with bugs here in the winter. Summertime, we have a lot of trouble with bugs. We always start out with the most friendly kind of treatments, like soapy water, some of the neem oil, things like that are organic. But if that don't do it, we're breaking out the malathion. Okay, I put too much time and effort into this thing to just let the bugs eat them all up. So again, we only spray if we have to, and we always start out with the least aggressive pest management system first. If that don't work, we step up the game. So I hope you enjoyed that little tour of the Backwoods Gourmet Garden here right outside the homestead, and maybe learned a few things about how we take very little space and produced quite a bit of fresh produce that we've handled from the time it's a baby little plant all the way to the table. So there's something really enjoyable about A, watching that process happen and taking care of these plants as they grow, and B, being able to really enjoy them the day they go on the table. So if you like what we're doing, please smash that like button right down there. You can subscribe to our channel. You can do right there for another great Backwoods Gourmet adventure video. It's going to be right there for our whole playlist out here from the garden. It'll eventually be right there. We'll see you next time.